Everybody stand. Let's play. And you think it's never dying. You love the light. You love the light.
Hey guys, welcome back to the channel. In today's video, I want to bring you guys my new updated triple crowned Electro KEQING build. In this video, we're going to be going over KEQING herself, her weapons, her kits, how to play her, constellations, talents, artifacts, which is very important. And then we're going to get into party members, and there's a couple different variations to play Electro KEQING. So let's go ahead and get right down to the build. Alright guys, so starting off, she has 22,000 HP, which normally wouldn't matter, but because we're using Jade Cutter, it matters a little bit. It plays a very small factor into the way that weapon performs. For her attack, it has 2,053, which is a bit on the lower side, but it makes up for it with the crit rates and the crit damage. As you can see here, we have 81% crit rate and 236% crit damage, which is actually really good for KEQING herself. For her electro damage bonus, 61.6%. And that is because we're running her on a Thundering Fury set. For weapon, her best in slot still is Primordial Jade Cutter. If not, it is tied with the Mist Splitter. If you can keep all stacks on that, that can come very close. If not, a little bit outperform this. But without stacks, they're about the same. If not, Jade is better. Other weapons that you can use, the Black Sword. It's the Battle Pass weapon. It's very low spending friendly since you know what you're going to get out of it. Flute, I would not recommend for Electro KEQING at all. It's not a very good weapon. Black Cliff Longsword, you can use that. That's also a very good weapon on Electro KEQING. If you're looking into running her quick swap, but that's not what this video is about, this is the only weapon that's actually somewhat decent for her in a quick swap team because of the energy recharge. If you don't have any other weapons, you can use Harbinger of Dawn. The only problem with this weapon is that in late game, it's hard to keep your HP above 90%, especially if you have someone like Bennett as a healer. But other than that, it's a pretty solid weapon if you can keep your HP above, 90%. Also, you can use Prototype Rancor. This is an okay weapon on her. It's not her best weapon, but if you don't have anything else, you're just going to be getting the base attack and the passive from it. Yeah, the physical damage just goes to waste. The other 5 stars are also very good that I should probably mention. The Summit Shaper is really good, especially if you have a shielder like Zhongli on your team. If you have a Queen of Favonia, you can use it if that's the only 5-star weapon. It does have a really high base attack and a nice passive, but overall you're going to be missing out on that physical damage stats on that weapon as well as the Prototype Rancor. For her artifacts, there's 2 main artifact sets that you can go with this build. The first one is Thundering Fury and the second one is Thunder Soother. I'll go into more detail on what I mean by that. As you can see, I'm running 2-piece Glad, 2-piece Thunder Fury. The reason why that is because first of all, 4-piece Thundering Fury is hard to farm, and second of all, 4-piece Thunder Fury doesn't do as much as you'd think. So if we take here a look at the 2-piece bonus gives you electro damage bonus of 15%, which is nice. It's just a little boost to your electro damage bonus. 4-piece set increases damage by Overload, Electro-Charged, and Superconduct by 40%. While 40% seems a lot on paper, those reactions don't do that much damage in general, so 40% doesn't make a huge difference. Especially since we would be losing this attack bonus, it really just performs about the same. So if you do have a 2-piece Glad, I highly recommend going 2-piece Glad with 2-piece Thundering Fury. So 2-piece Glad, 2-piece Thunder Fury, or 4-piece Thundering Fury, I would only recommend using if you're going to be using her with Xingqiu or some other Hydro damage user to apply Electro-Charged. That's really her best reaction with overall with Electro. If you do plan on going the Swirl, where you basically swirl Electro and you get the 40% from the Viridescent sets, you decrease their resistance to Electro by 40% by swirling it off Electro, then I would highly recommend going Thunder Soother because you're dealing 35% more damage to anybody who's affected by Electro. So if you do choose to go with the Thunder Soother set, her best support is going to be Fischl. Party members for that build as well, but you definitely want to have Fischl if you're running 4-piece Thunder Soothing KEQING. Obviously, for the Sands, you're going to be running attack percentage. For the Goblets, you want to be running Electro damage bonus. That goes without saying because you're running her as Electro. For her helmet, you want to either be running crit rates or crit damage depending on what you need. So in this case, I have Primordial Jade Cutter, which gives me a lot of crit rate, so I'm just running crit damage. For Constellations, they don't really do as much as you would think. She'll probably perform very similar at C0 as she would C6. Maybe you'll get a little bit more damage numbers, but overall, it just gives her, AoE attack as electro damage. So when you press E, you're going to be getting more damage off of that. And with this, you just get more particles. This is a talent level 1. This is a pretty good one for Electro Kuting because after you proc Electro-Charged, you're going to be increasing her attack overall by 25%. So that's a pretty good one. If you already have her C3 and you want to go for C4, then that's something that's a choice that you'd have to make. I'm personally not pulling for her C4 or C6. C6 is also very good. As you can see, when initiating a normal attack, charge attack, elemental skill, or elemental burst, Kuting gains a 6% electro damage bonus. So basically you're going to be always having a 6% extra electro damage bonus. It's just a little bit of extra damage. So overall, 4 and 6 are her main boosters to electro damage, but they're not necessary at all. They don't do that much. They're not really worth Constellations. For her talents, as you can see, we have her triple crowned. By the way, if you haven't seen the video of the pure damage showcase of triple crowned Kuting, I'm going to link it up in the top right so you can go check it out. The order that I would recommend leveling these is I would level your normal attacks first, and then your E, and then your Q. With Kuting, you get a lot of damage off your E, so I would try to level these two at probably the same rates. I would keep them even, and then worry about the Steward Sword last. Overall, that's all for her build. That's all for her weapons, you know, artifacts, constellation, and talents. Let's go ahead and get into team comps, and then we'll get into how you should play her with those specific team comps. So the first team comp is this one, and this is the one that I personally run. I used to run the Swirl variant, but because Electro-Charged, the bonus that you get from Electro-Charged that not a lot of people know about is, yes, Electro-Charged does lack in the damage output. It doesn't have like as high damage as like Melt or Vaporize does, but it can stun enemies and it can chain between enemies. So you're going to be doing more damage across more opponents with this. And on top of that, you can stun some of the biggest enemies in the game, like Ruin Guards, you know, the Lava Trolls, all of those enemies. You're going to be able to stun them with Superconduct, which is really nice. Your third, I'm using Zhongli just because he decreases their elemental resistance. So he performs somewhat like Swirling would, but overall you don't have to use Zhongli. You can use Venti in this build with Viridescent, although it's harder to swirl with someone like Xingqiu. So overall, you could use another Electro support like Fischl or Beidou, or if you want some Frozen, you can use someone like Rosaria. But generally, this part is really flexible. It's honestly up to you. If you want to throw in another Pyro for the attack bonus, you can also do that, and you get some Overloaded and Vaporize. But overall, if you have Zhongli, I strongly recommend using him because of the way his E functions. And for the fourth, as most builds, you should definitely be running Bennett. He's just overall the best supports in this build and for most builds, honestly. This is the first build, and basically I'll show you guys the way that I like to play this build. Alright guys, so let's go ahead and test this on the Pyro Flower. Basically, the way you want to start off playing this is getting, I prefer to start off with Bennett Q. So let's break his shield first. So we're going to Xingqiu. And we don't... Okay, now we have his Q. So we're going to do Bennett Q. We're going to Zhongli for the resistance decrease. And then as you can see, my Kuting will just do really high numbers because she's standing inside of Bennett's ult. So that was very fast, and she can do a lot of damage just off of this build specifically. And with these characters, especially with Zhongli, you're able to utilize the elemental resistance, and Kuting can hit almost as hard as she can with Swirl off of Swirl. The only problem with Swirl builds is that sometimes it can be hard to proc, and you have to play it a way more specific way, whereas this build, all you can do is just Zhongli and then Xingqiu, and then your Kuting's doing the same amount of damage no matter what. And it's very easy to play as compared to the Swirl build. But I'm going to show you the Swirl build, and then we'll get into the damage and how to play that. Alright guys, now for her Swirl build. As you can see, we have Kuting and Fischl, because without Fischl, it's harder to proc Swirl and get the electro damage decrease. So we have Fischl just to keep them applied with Electro, and this is also good if you're using 4-piece Thunder Soother, because you will be able to keep them applied with Electro and deal the extra 35% damage. For the third, you definitely obviously want a Swirler, someone like Venti. I'm just using Venti because I have him somewhat leveled. If you have Sucrose, you can throw her on a 4-piece Viridescent. You can use Kazuha. Kazuha is definitely the strongest Anemo character for this build. You don't need to have Kazuha, but he's definitely the strongest. You can use Jane or Anemo Traveler if you have nothing else. But generally, you want a Animo character to be able to swirl to get that resistance to electro damage. And then obviously we're going Bennett again. Bennett is just overall the best supports. Like I said before, if you want to use another healer, you can. Like someone like Barbara or Chi-Chi. But it might be harder to work around the swirl with those characters. So let's go ahead and try, show you how to play this build on this flower right here, which you probably already saw at the beginning of the showcase, but just in case, I'm going to demonstrate for you. So like usual, you want to do Bennett Q. Now this is just for the maximum damage output. So we're going to do Bennett Q. We're going to go Official, Venti, and then we're not going to Q, but as you can see, the numbers are stacking. And yeah, so we didn't even need to Q on that one. We didn't have it built up, so I wasn't really worried about using it. But as you can see how fast she can clear out bosses with this build as well. So either build is viable. This one does a little bit better with Thunder Soother sets if you have that one farmed out, or if you are currently farming that. So I would prefer this build over the other one if you're going Thunder Soother, as this one will be able to keep them applied with Electro, as you have Oz to be able to shoot them with Electro. So overall, those are her two best teams, and that is going to basically wrap up my Keqing build. I hope each and every one of you guys enjoyed. Please consider subscribing if you guys enjoyed, and like and comment. Let me know if you didn't like it, because I can't see dislikes anymore. So let me know what you think in the comment section below, and I will see you guys in the next video. Peace out.